सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा।
Jayanandalala Madhyoli Charanam. So we're going to continue with where we stopped, and I have a beautiful session today. After we finish up with the two names that we have remaining, that is of Lord Ganesha, the last two names that we have remaining is Herambaya Namaha and Skanda Purvajaya Namaha. So these two are remaining. So when we say Herambaya Namaha, what does Heramba mean? It is a form of Ganesha with 5 faces. So imagine 5 elephant faces and 10 hands. So 5 elephant faces and 10 hands. This is Herambaya Namaha. Heramba is Herambar. That's the name of the 5-faced Ganesha with 10 hands, and his vehicle is the lion. So that is where he gets that name. That form is Herambar. And we all know Lord Shiva also has 5 faces, right? 5 faces. In so many lingams, he has 5 faces. We know that. So he shares that with his father. 5 faces, just like his father. And also, we know that his mother also has the lion as her Vahana. So he shares that also from his mother, that aspect, the lion being the Vahana. Simha Vahini is who she is. So he shares that also from her. So this Heramba is the form of Lord Ganesha with aspects of Lord Shiva and Ambal together. That's what makes it more powerful. Very few temples have this form of Lord Ganesha. You can't see it. It's a very rare form. So very few temples. Now, Skanda Purvajaya Namaha. That's the last name, 16th name. What does that mean? Skanda means his brother, Murugan, whose name is also Skanda. He's also called as Skanda, right? So Murugan is also got that name, Skanda. But Skanda Purvajaya Namaha. Murugan's name is taken first. Purvajaya Namaha. Now Purvajar means what? One who is born earlier. That's what it means. One who's born earlier. One who's born earlier than Skanda. That's what it means. So his name is taken there for, you can think about, if you think about it, in the Shodasanama Stotram that we have gone through from the beginning, there is no name of Ganesha indicating that he is the son of Lord Shiva or Ambal Parvati. There is no name as such indicating or, telling us that he is, or is reinstating that he is the son of Lord Shiva or Parvati. This is a known fact. We know he is their son. But there is no name. But there is a name stating that he is the older brother of Skanda. Now, why is that? It's like, it's so important. It's like given to us, right? Because he had a very big role to play in Lord Murugan's life. Lord Ganesha had a very big role. He played a very big part during birth. Then later in his marriage, he had a part to play, and when he took the sannyasam, Lord Ganesha had a part to play. So all this, he had a big role to play in Lord Murugan's life, and that is why Skanda Purvajaya Namaha is very key part that Shodasanama Stotram is reinstating that role, that part. And it is a big lesson for all of us from that. We learn a lot from what role he played. So, for instance, when we take his birth, Lord Murugan's birth, now we all know that Ganesha had taken so many manifestations, different forms, in different ways. So one being, which we all know, which we are all familiar, which we spoke about, the first name when we talked about Sumukhar. We spoke about how he came to be because he had the human face, right? So we know that it's from turmeric, Ambal's turmeric. That's one form. That is how he came to be. That is another way that he manifested. And that is when both Ambal and Lord Shiva looked at the Pranava Aksharam, their sight fell on the Aksharam simultaneously, which immediately Ganesha manifested. That is another way. So there's a lot of ways, according to the Shastras, a lot of ways that Ganesha manifested, Lord Ganesha has manifested. But that being said, we all know that the Asura, Surapadman. Who's Surapadman? The Asura that Lord Muruga killed. He was born to kill Surapadman. We will go in detail about this when we're doing Lord Muruga's session later. But I'm just giving you a brief thing. Asura asked for a boon. That boon stated that the son who is equivalent in strength to Lord Shiva, but born without the male-female union. That was his condition, the boon. Only that son can kill him. Okay, but Lord Ganesha, anywhere that his manifestations have taken place, have been with Ambal also present. Now, it's not that he cannot take another form. He has so many manifestations. Can't he take another manifestations where Ambal is not there? He can. It's possible. But if he did, we would not have Lord Muruga today. Murugan had to happen. Lord Muruga had to happen. For that, we have to be thankful to Lord Ganesha. That is where he played a very big part by stepping aside. If he was proud, if he was arrogant, if he thought, come on, I can do this, then we wouldn't have had Lord Murugan. Yes, we know he can do it. Yes, he could have done it. After all, this who we talking about? Lord Ganesha. But by stepping aside, though he so powerfully stepped aside, he gave respect to that boon that his father gave. He respected that boon that his father gave, and he allowed that to happen on the side. He allowed somebody else to take that form and to take that name, a power equivalent to Lord Shiva, that name, and the chief of the Deva's army, that name. That is also a lesson for all of us. Oh, being so powerful. There is nothing that Lord Ganesha cannot do. He's the one that even made his own father trip when he went for Tripura Samharam, where he had to stop and pray to Lord Ganesha to get forward and get it successfully done. For him, this is nothing. Another manifestation without the Ambal is nothing. Could have been possible, but no. He stepped aside and he allowed that to happen, so that today we have Lord Skanda, Lord Murugan, that beautiful avataram. So we have to thank Lord Ganesha for that, don't we? We have to. So in his birth, yes, because he stepped aside and allowed that to happen, yes, Murugan came out of the sparks of the eyes of Lord Shiva, where Ambal was never involved. Just like the boon that was received to kill the Asura that was needed, Murugan manifested through the sparks of Lord Shiva's eyes. Now, when all the Devas were doing penance for Lord Murugan to manifest, he never felt left out. Lord Ganesha never felt left out. Oh, why are they doing penance when I'm here? No, these are the lessons we have to take. We have to take a lot of lessons from our scriptures, from our gods. Our gods are so powerful, but they teach us so much. You think he could not have killed Asuran? He could have easily killed Asuran. Lord Ganesha, there is nothing he cannot do. We all know that. We all know that. Now, there is a connection with Lord Ganesha, with Lord Muruga's sannyasam and marriage, which we will talk about when we talk about Lord Muruga in detail. But here, the name Skanda Purvajaya Namaha, reinstating that he's the older brother, the oldest one, the one that's come earlier, is important because he had a big role to play. And that is why that name is in the Shodasanama Stotram. And there, with that, we end the session for Ganesha. We have finished the whole 16 names of Ganesha. Today, I want to start a new topic. As usual, we have started with Lord Ganesha's name. Everything has to go smoothly, right? So today we are going to talk about Ramanujacharya. I know he's a lot of you may know him already. And a lot of us just heard about him, but don't know his whole history and what he has taught, what he has given. He has given a lot. He has given a lot to the whole of our culture and traditions that we've been following over the years. The temples, a lot of temples follow his teachings and the ritual aspects. He's a big renowned saint of Vaishnavism. The Vaishnavism is Vishnu, Lord Vishnu Bhaktas. Now he was called as Ilaya Perumal. and he was born in Sri Perumbudur in 1017 AD. Now, there is a shloka that states, it's the shloka Yadava Chala Mahatmyam. Over there is a portion that states who he is. Who is Ramanujacharya? It says that it is the same who was Adi Sesha first, Lakshmana after, and Balarama third, and Sri Ramanujacharya now. So after all, Ramanujacharya is none other than Adisesha's form. You get it? Avataram of Adisesha. So he was Lakshmana in the Treta Yugam, and then he was Balarama in the Dwapara Yugam, and in the Kali Yugam, he is Ramanujacharya. This is stated in that scripture. Now, he was just 16 years old. He mastered all the Vedams and Shastrams, and he was very intelligent at that age, very big intellect and knowledgeable of all this so fast. And he married when he was 17 years old. But that marriage didn't last for too long. But after marriage, 4 months later, his father passed away. Now that's what changed everything around. He went to Kanchipuram with his whole family. He shifted to Kanchipuram, and there he met a scholar. The scholar is Yadava Prakash. And what he was teaching, Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta is the philosophy of Adi Shankara. So he joined Yadava Prakash and became his disciple, Ramanujacharya, but not for too long, because he became his favorite disciple too. He was such a knowledgeable person, right? Ramanujacharya, as a young kid, he was just 17, 18. And Yadava Prakash was very impressed. He became his favorite disciple. But it was not for too long, because the philosophies he found were a little, it was not sitting well in his head. Some of them he had doubts. He was not totally understanding it. He was not totally into it. He didn't agree with it, to be specific. He gave answers contrary to what the Guru said. So Yadava Prakash was not very happy, okay? One day, twice, he was questioning. He was always questioning it. No, this is not right. It could have been this way. It's this way. So when the lecture is going on, everybody sitting, Ramanujacharya will come up with a contrary question, always. Now, that Yadava Prakash did not like, the Guru. He said, if you know so much, why can't you open your own school? So he was fed up and he just asked, why can't you just open your own school if you know so much? So Ramanujacharya quietly walked out. And he took that very seriously in his head. He said, okay, why not really open a school? Yeah, he's right. I'll just open my own school. He did open his own school, and people started coming in for his philosophy. His philosophy was entirely different from what Adi Shankara's philosophy is, which we will go through later in the session, how both of them were different. Not two different, but when you talk about it, when you understand it, you see that both are almost the same, but outside. But Adi Shankara's is more very intense philosophy, whereas Ramanujacharya is very simple to follow. I'll explain that when we go deeper. Now, Yadava Prakash was, he saw that Ramanujacharya he's doing very well. His school is doing very good. A lot of people are going to him. So he wanted to put an end to it. He was thinking, how do I put an end to this? And some of his students also went to Ramanujacharya. So he said he planned to take Ramanujacharya with him on a tour, on a journey to Kashi, Banaras, and kill him on the way. This was the plan. So he asked Ramanujacharya to come with us, we'll go. Who will say no to Kashi, Banaras? He said, yeah, I'll come. Now there is a cousin, Ramanujacharya's cousin, who's also in Yadava Prakash's class, who came to know that this is the plan to kill Ramanujacharya, that they're all doing this. So he, on the way, that is already on the journey, they're in the journey, in the middle of the journey, that time, Govinda is his name. Govinda comes and cautions Ramanujacharya. He says, be careful, these people are planning to kill you. So Ramanujacharya is thinking, oh my God, this is bad. What do I do? So Govinda says, you leave right now. I will somehow manage. You just leave. So in the middle of the night, Ramanujacharya gets up and leaves the group. It's a thick forest. There's no idea where he's going, but he starts walking. And then he suddenly comes to this well in the forest where two people, a couple, are trying to take the water and they're filling the pots. And the lady looks very pleasant, very pretty, and the man looks very handsome. They look like a tribal family, but they have such a glow on their face. So Ramanujacharya asked them, can I have some water? So the lady gives water to him. And suddenly he's so tired, he just falls asleep there. He doesn't know what happened. Because of that journey, because of that stress, all that tension, he just lies down and sleeps there. In his dream, Lord Rama and Goddess Sita is there. In the same form. So he sees that the tribal form that he saw in person, they changed to Rama and Sita. So he knew that whoever he saw was not ordinary people. They were the Lord and the Goddess themselves. So he does his namaskaram in his dream. And they escort him out of the forest safely. Where? In the dream. So they escort him out of the forest in the dream and show him the way. You go this way, you go that way, Lord Rama and Sita. And there he's in the outskirts of Kanchipuram. He sees Kanchipuram. That's where he stays, right? So the Lord escorts his devotee and brings him to Kanchipuram in the dream. He suddenly wakes up. He wakes up to find himself outskirts of Kanchipuram. Isn't that amazing? There's this true story. I'm not making that up. So he is so shocked that he's kind of trying to put these things together, and he just thanks the Lord because just a few hours ago his life was in danger, and here he was escorted by the Lord himself and brought back to his house. So he thanks the Lord and goes straight to the temple and thanks him, falls at his feet and starts with his business, teaching his philosophy. After a couple of days, Yadav Prakash also comes back, but over there they are wondering where Ramanujam has disappeared. And what did Govinda, his cousin, do? He cooked up a story, said he must have been killed by some tiger. He went out to take a bath. I think he was killed by a tiger, and that topic was somehow managed for that time being. But when they came back to Kanchipuram and saw Ramanujacharya fit and fine, then Yadava Prakash knew, okay, what we did was wrong. We should not have done that. There is some higher power protecting him. And he asked for forgiveness. And everything was back to normal. Now, Ramanujacharya always was yearning for a good guru. I knew Yadava Prakash was not teaching what he believed in. He had a few things that he already knew. Your heart tells you, right? So he knew that this is it. This is what it is. So there was a Acharya named Yamunacharya. So he came to his doorstep one day, asking for alms. And he introduced himself. He's from Srirangam, and he teaches this. And Yamunacharya was very happy because once he started a conversation with Ramanujacharya, he knew that he's not an ordinary person. He's very knowledgeable, and he's actually capable of becoming his successor because he was the guru for a lot of Vaishnavas in Srirangam. So he knew that he had found his successor. That's how a pedestal he looked up to Ramanujacharya. At that time, his wife was still around. Ramanujacharya's wife was still around, and she actually insulted that guru when he came home. So that is the point when Ramanujacharya thought that this is it. When his guru was insulted, he couldn't take it. So that is when that marriage fell apart, and he was free to pursue towards the Lord. Now, one day, as the day went by, one day he got a message that this guru was very ill, and they wanted Ramanujacharya to go to Srirangam at once, as soon as possible. That was the message he got. So he started his journey. But before he went there, Yamunacharya passed away. But there was a message for Ramanujacharya that he had to take up the successor's role. He had to take up the guru role for all the Vaishnavas there. And he did, because that was the last wish of his guru, Yamunacharya. And to finish whatever he left unfinished. So that was a big responsibility. He said, okay, and he took it up. Now, for that, he had to learn this very powerful mantra. And this mantra was there, you can learn it from only one person. Now, he was in search of this person, Nambi. His name was Nambi. So he went to him and he wanted to learn the 3 great mantras. Om Namo Narayana. Om Namo Narayana. It's a very powerful mantra. Now Nambi, Saint Nambi said, I will teach you this only on one condition, that you will not give this to anybody. So Ramanujacharya was like, okay, I won't give it to anybody. So Nambi gave him the mantra. And guess what Ramanujacharya did? He went to the ceiling and he shouted the mantra out so that everybody could hear it. Nambi was so angry because he's been protecting this mantra for all this while. And here one kid comes and shouting out the mantra. He was so angry. So he went and confronted Ramanujam and he asked him, this is not, what you did was wrong. You went against my orders. So Ramanujacharya, he smiles and he says, I will gladly suffer the torches of hell if millions of people could get salvation by hearing this mantram through me. Think about that. He doesn't care about himself. He was happy because this mantram is enough to give salvation. That is why it's like people are not giving it away. Safeguarding. But Ramanujam, what did he do? He said, I will gladly accept the punishment if all these millions of people can be freed and they will attain salvation, hearing this mantram through me. That was enough. Saint Nambi was very impressed. He said, I understand why Yamunacharya made you the successor. Now I understand clearly why you are the leader, because you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about everybody. And that is needed to be a leader, where you don't think about oneself. Selfless is what a leader is. And that he showed clearly. And Nambi Alvar was very impressed and happy. Now, that was the role of Ramanujacharya. He just, everywhere he went, he impressed everyone with his beautiful, selfless, the qualities that he had. Now, there's a beautiful story in Sri Amma's book related to Ramanujacharya. The book is Enlightenment. And I had to speak about that too. So in case you want to look into that book, that's why I mentioned the name of the book, Enlightenment. She has mentioned about Ramanujacharya and his great one aspect, a miracle that he did while he was during the 11th century. This was during the Mughal invasion. That time was when the Mughals invaded, and a lot of South Indian temples were invaded at that time. And lot of them. So one of them was Sri Rangam, and the main Perumal, that is the Utsava Murti. So Nam Perumal was being looted. He's so beautiful. He's got a lot of diamonds and all gems embedded in his crown. So the whole body is, it's like sparkly, so beautiful. That Nam Perumal was looted by the king and taken to Delhi. Now, this is a true story which happened in Sri Rangam. And Ramanujacharya came to know about this. And he immediately said, we will all go to Delhi and bring back the Nam Perumal. Now, we are not asking for everything. They've got all the jewelry, all the other riches, treasures, everything. But we're just asking for that Utsava Murti, the Nam Perumal, without who we can't do any Utsavam. It's all stopped. So they all went all the way to Delhi to recover, to get back the Nam Perumal. Over there, the princess, now what did the king do? He came, he loaded, and he went back there. And the princess was so happy to see all the loot from various places. She started digging into all these treasure boxes, and she found this Nam Perumal, the king's daughter. And she said to the king, Appa, can I keep this? Father, can I keep this? So he thought, okay, she wants to keep him as a doll, the girls like dolls. So he said, yeah, take it. So she took him, and she got so attached to the Nam Perumal. It's not just an ordinary attachment. This was very serious. She used to treat him like as if it was real. She would wake him up, she would brush his teeth, she would feed him, she would sing lullabies for him, she would put him to sleep, she would dress him up, she would 24/7. It's kind of reminded me of Mirabai and Krishna. What Mirabai has done for Lord Krishna as an idol, right? Same thing this princess did for Nam Perumal, treating him with so much love poured on him. 24/7, always with him. So it was serious, not like the king thought. It was very serious. Then, of course, Ramanujacharya reached the palace. While this is going on the side, Ramanujacharya reached the palace, and there he was in front of the king. The king was very impressed when he saw him, because the Acharya has that magnet pull towards him. After all, who's he? Right? After all, he is Adi Sesha. After all, he is that beautiful, magnificent Adi Sesha, right? The bed of the Lord. So that was evident. So the king asked how he could help. And Ramanujacharya said, I'm just here to get back one idol that you have brought. That's all I need. If you give me the idol, I will leave. I don't want anything else. King said, yeah, go, and he told his soldiers, go take him where the loot is. They have dumped all the loot in one place. So he said, take him to the loot, and he can look for it, and he can have whatever he wants. There they went and looked everywhere for Nam Perumal. They couldn't find it in any of the boxes, in any of the treasure boxes. He was not there. That night, he was given a beautiful guest chamber, and Ramanujacharya spent the night there with other devotees. They were all thinking, they were all worried where the idol is. Then Ramanujacharya, the Lord is telling him, I am in the princess's chambers with her. So in the morning, he goes back to the king and he says, I think your daughter, the princess, has the idol. So the king says, oh, that idol. Oh, that I don't know about that idol, because my daughter, I don't know if she'll give that back. So Ramanujacharya was like, can I please go and see the idol? So king says, yeah, we'll go to the chambers. I'll take you. So they all go to the chambers, and there the princess is singing lullaby to this idol, and Ramanujacharya is he feels very sad to part and separate the princess from the idol. He feels really bad because he could see the involvement. He could see the bhakti through the princess. Only a devotee can recognize another devotee. And he is a devotee, and he recognized another one. So he was feeling very bad, but then his duty came first. What was his duty? To bring back the idol to the temple, where it belongs. So he is just standing there helpless. The king says, well, you just saw what is happening. How can I take that idol and give it to you now? Do one thing, he says. You call out to the idol. If it comes to you, it's yours. Very convenient. You call out to the idol, it comes to you, it's yours. Which idol will come? Will the idol come? Not that we know. But guess what? In his case, it's different. So Ramanujam is shut his eyes. He sings, come, my dear Narayana. And to everybody's shock, astonishment, this idol gets up, walks up to Ramanujacharya, sits on his lap. The idol. The king uttered his words. Who made him utter those words? Lord Narayana himself. Thinking that it may not happen. No. Who are you playing with? So the idol walked, came to Ramanujam, sat on his lap, and the king had no other go but to keep his words. He had to keep his words. He said, if that idol comes on its own, it's all yours, right? Ramanujacharya hugged the idol, hugged Narayana. Oh, that is so touching because this is a true story. And he brought him back. But poor princess couldn't, be separated from the idol. So she followed Narayana, Namperumal all the way. And she fell out of the temple because she was not allowed inside the temple. And Ramanujacharya came out to see the state she was in, and she had attained salvation right there, outside the temple. And there they do have a separate shrine for her. A lot of Vishnu temples have a shrine for her. It's called Bibi Nachiyar. It's a separate shrine for the princess. And she's none other than goddess Mahalakshmi's avataram. And when we go over the Sri Rangam topic, which will be the next session, we will go through the rituals that involves with Narayana, Lord Narayana, and Bibi Nachiyar. So it's very interesting how all these come together. And that's where she gets the name, Bibi Nachiyar. Now, Ramanujacharya had a lot of things to do with all these temples and the rituals that happen in these temples. They follow his style, which he has taught. Now, he passed away when he was 120 years old. He lived long. But his body, his devotees, his followers did not want to part with his body. So they have preserved it in Srirangam. There is a separate shrine where you will see his body as is. And guess what? No chemicals. They've preserved it with saffron, turmeric, kungumam, all these natural elements, all these natural things. No chemicals were involved in preserving the body. And he sits in a beautiful Jnana Mudra. And he's seated in the temple. And every 6 months, they do this saffron and turmeric treatment. It's applied on his body to preserve it. It's incredible when you think about it. But so when you go to Srirangam, you have to make it a point to go and see this incredible thing. And when we do the Srirangam session the next week, we will talk in detail about this beautiful temple, how it came to be. And that is more interesting. After that topic, you would want to run to Srirangam, because that temple is, I think, a gift, a big blessing, a boon for all of us. When you know the history of the Perumal in it, the history of the idol in it. So many invasions have happened, but nobody could touch that idol. And we will go through all that stories, how it was preserved and everything. Jai Nandalala Madhiyoli Charana.